Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. Buckle up, as it's a long one, and don't forget to listen to the end of the story to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, guys, and please like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So, I need to give some backstory. My husband, 37 male, and I, 37 female, have been divorced for 6 years now. We have 2 daughters, Emily, 16 female, and Gabby, 8 female, and we're happily married for 10 years. My husband cheated on me with a freshman in college and left me for her. It was hard for me. I was in so much emotional pain. It wasn't just his cheating, but also how he said he hates me and that I looked ugly. He even said something along the line of, I was not as tight as I used to be. You can imagine my pain. It gives me some serious trust issues. I couldn't forget what he said to me during our divorce. Emily knew why we divorced, and she held some resentment towards her father for that. Gabby was too young at that time. Nonetheless, he was a crappy husband, but a good father to both of them. We shared custody. The girls would be with me from Monday through Friday. I tried my best, but from time to time I would spiral. I've been in and out of therapy since my divorce. I met my now husband, Ben, 41 male, 4 years ago. We met because we work in the same building, and I was crying on the roof of the office building. Ben was there too when he saw me. He asked me what happened, and I just bawled my eyes out because that day was my wedding anniversary, and that was the same day my ex decided that he would get married to his AP. Ben listened to my concerns and stayed with me the whole day to make sure I was fine. He even dropped me to my house because I was too emotionally unstable to drive myself. From there, we started dating. He told me his story about how he lost his wife and only daughter 10 years ago in a car accident. He was really fond of my daughters as well. Emily has started to call him Dad after a year of us dating. Gabby also calls him Daddy Ben. I was finally healing and getting back to my old self. Ben was really nice and caring. We welcomed our son a year ago. My girls are happy to have a brother. He proposed to me when I was pregnant, and we began planning for our wedding since then. Now, here's the issue. Emily is one of my bridesmaids. Gabby is my flower girl. Emily is old enough to choose which parent she wants to live with, so there was no issue from her part. But Gabby was still going back and forth from my house to my ex's house. My wedding is in 2 weeks. My ex was fine with it. I spoke to him many times to make sure that he drives Gabby to my mother's place, but now he refuses. He says that he only gets to see his daughter 3 times a week, and he is not willing to give up his days for some party. I told him he could take my days for a week and let her be at the wedding. He says he will not let Gabby go. The wedding is on a Tuesday, which means Gabby would be with him. I cannot change the date because everything is booked. Please give me some advice. We have argued a lot, and I don't think I can go through any emotional pain with this ever again. Gabby would be heartbroken because she is really excited to be Flower Girl. OP's ex is using the youngest daughter to get to OP. It's not about her or the wedding. It's about pushing buttons. He knows how to do it, and he's found one to push. He is not a good human, and OP needs to stop treating him like she would with a normal person. He is not a good father. Good fathers do not purposely inflict pain. Update. It's been hectic since the last I posted. So I mentioned in my last post that my ex-husband, with whom I share 2 children, Emily and Gabby. Emily lives with me now, but occasionally goes to her father's place. I made that post on a Wednesday. On Friday, I went to pick up Gabby. My daughter Emily was pissed. I asked her what happened. She says that Gabby was throwing a tantrum because some stupid lie their father has told Gabby that they will be going on a vacation on my wedding day. Gabby said no. She was excited to be my flower girl and threw a tantrum. I was furious. This coward man wanted to take my daughter away from me so that she is never my flower girl. I stomped my way into his house and demanded to see my daughter. My fiancé was with me. I demanded to see my daughter and said that he was a coward for not telling my daughter the real reason why she can't be at my wedding. My daughter rushed towards my fiancé, Ben. I told him to tell Gabby the truth. I was done with this man. I told him if he doesn't tell her, I will. I had the screenshots on my phone. I'm surprised that he caved. Eventually, he told her the truth. Gabby was crying and saying that she hates him. My ex-husband was not having it. She took Gabby away from Ben and violently shakes her body and calls her a brat who doesn't appreciate her dad. I don't know what came on to me. I saw red and pushed my husband out of the way. He called me a B, and his wife came out and tried to handle me. I got my daughter Gabby, but my husband wasn't letting me. He even got into a physical altercation with my fiancée. Emily was recording it from a distance. My ex kept shouting that he will not let my daughter go with him. I reminded him that this is my turn to have her, and he agreed that he would let my daughter stay with me until the wedding is over. I have the messages with me that he agreed to our agreement. He couldn't do anything, and we left. Upon arriving, Emily told me if it is possible to keep Gabby with us forever because she does not want to live with her dad. I asked why. Then she told me that her dad has been really angry ever since I started a relationship. It wasn't that extreme at first. Then he started insulting me behind my back that how much I downgraded by dating Ben. It got even more agitated when he learned I was pregnant. He has been asking his wife to start having kids, and they had fights multiple times. It doesn't end there. Emily also mentions he would often lash out on Gabby and even scold her for making small mistakes. He even forced both of them to call his wife Mom, but Emily refused. She also said the only reason she ever goes back is she knows Gabby has to stay with him, and she is just protecting her. I cried and asked her why she didn't tell me. She responded with she saw how happy I was with Ben, so she didn't want to burden me. I don't know what to say. I never wanted my daughter to take the burden. While I am happy that she tried to protect her sister, I feel disappointed in myself that I was so busy with my new life that I neglected my daughter. Whenever they came home, they were smiling, and I took that as a sign that everything was okay. I told Emily that I am proud of her, but she should have told me. She should have never taken it upon herself to save Gabby. I am their mother, and I will protect them from everything. I was going to let my daughter stay with my ex while I was on my honeymoon, so that he would not cry about not spending enough time with his daughters. Now I am thinking otherwise. I don't know what to do. I'm really stressed, and next week is my wedding. Any suggestions? New update. Hello guys. I took your suggestions and filed for emergency custody. I've also contacted a lawyer so that I can get full custody of Gabby. My daughter Emily is a key witness, and she does have the video saved. She is a smart girl. I'm glad she saw the tension in the air and recorded it. I gave this to my lawyer. He said I shouldn't have jumped on my ex, but it can be played as self-defense because he was hurting and scaring Gabby. I was able to get emergency custody. I was lucky that I got it in a short time. I will talk to my lawyer about full custody and details. He said that given how he reacted and the video evidence along with the statement from Emily, I do have a strong case. But I know my ex. He will not give up so easily, but neither am I. I'm postponing my honeymoon until this matter is resolved. Even though this whole week has been stressful for me and everyone, I managed to cheer up Gabby. My family was really supportive. We did have a wedding, but I felt like some of the joy was stripped away from us because of this whole drama with my ex. But nonetheless, I felt really special on that day. My first marriage was rushed because I got pregnant, but this one felt right. I got to wear a gown and walk down the aisle. My daughters also enjoyed it a lot. I was glad my now husband Ben was there with me. I always had this insecurity in me that no man would want to be with me because I have so much baggage, but he stuck with me in my worst. As for my ex, he is a lost cause. He has been sending me and my husband some hateful messages. He's been bad-mouthing me. We blocked him. 2 days before my wedding, my ex-in-laws had a chat with me. My ex-mother-in-law wanted me to drop the case and not take their grandkids away from their father. But I'm glad ex-father-in-law stuck with me. He said that his own son is a danger to himself and his kids. He should not be allowed kids at all. My ex-mother-in-law tried to argue, but ex-father-in-law shouted at her, "Do you care more about your pathetic son or the safety of your grandkids?" At least someone gets it. And then there is my ex's wife, who has moved out of his house because she said, and I quote, "I'm too good to be a stepmom to some ungrateful brats." I mean, she is still in her 20s, so I get her in some way. Also, some of you have asked why I booked a day that clashes with my custody date. Well, the venue we wanted was available on that day only. We already postponed our wedding once due to my pregnancy, so we took it. Also, I didn't think my ex would go bonkers over it, because when he got married to his mistress, he took our girls out of the state for 2 weeks because he wanted a destination wedding. And I checked with him numerous times before making the decision. He was fine with it until 2 weeks before the wedding. I have no idea why he was acting like it, and I know people have called me a bad mother for not noticing it earlier. I have no excuse for that. I know that I have been consumed so much in my own world that I didn't thoroughly check with my girls. My kids shouldn't feel like them sharing their problems will hamper my life because their problems are my problems. I said sorry to both Emily and Gabby for it. They were kind enough to forgive me, but I will always have this guilt that I didn't see at first.
Grace and I have been married for 14 years. Grace was emotionally distant for about 3 years before we filed. We weren't having sex. She'd roll her eyes at me every time I opened my mouth and snap at me. Everything was a fight, so eventually I just shut up. Whenever I brought up the tension between us, she would insist she was fine and that I was annoying her by always asking her. When we went to therapy, she kept saying she was fine. I was insecure, and my need to constantly be reassured was driving her nuts. I mean, when someone constantly raises their voice at you every time you open your mouth, how are you supposed to respond? One day she informed me she wanted a divorce because she couldn't stand living with me anymore. I told her that she needed to talk about these things in therapy and not just put it on me. She told me there was no point. I was just too much. We sat our kids, 12 female, 10 male, down and told them. They both cried and I felt terrible. She moved out and I later found out she moved into an apartment with Harry, 48 male, who was going through a separation with Joy, 44 female. A month later, I was served with divorce papers, and we've been going through everything in that respect. Because of the low rates, I refinanced the mortgage, paid her out, and the house is now in my name only. I've encouraged her to see the kids, and we agreed in court to not disparage the other parent to the kids. She's seen them 4 times in the last year. That was about a year ago. 2 weeks ago, her attorney contacted mine and informed me that she wants to withdraw the divorce petition and for us to ask that the petition be dismissed. I was confused, and I told my attorney that we wouldn't be doing that. I called Joy up to find out if she knew anything. Joy laughed and told me she'd been waiting for my call. Harry and Joy have a prenuptial agreement, and after Harry spoke to an attorney, he realized that he was not going to get what he thought he would in a divorce. After realizing he could not buy a home, support Grace, and have the life he'd imagined, so he decided to reconcile with Joy and encouraged Grace to do the same. A few days later, Grace showed up at the door and told me she'd made a huge mistake. I told her she was right about that. She told me she wanted to make our marriage work, be there for our kids, and fix what's wrong between us. I replied that was fixed the moment she moved out, and we're doing great. She told me she wanted to come back home. And I replied, this wasn't her home. She started crying and begged me to just give her a chance to be better. She had a check in her hands for all the money she had left, made out to me, and told me she wanted to buy back into our house. I told her that she could use it to buy a home, but she wasn't coming back to my house. I arrived home from work on Monday to find Grace sitting on the couch watching a movie with the kids. My son smiled and said, "Dad, Mom's back." Grace had gone over after the kids got home, rang the doorbell, and told them that she was coming home. I smiled and said, "That was so nice of Mom to come visit today. She can't stay though. She has plans with her friend Harry at 8 tonight, and she has to leave soon or she'll be late." Our kids do not know about Harry, so Grace gave me a horrified, angry look. I brought her into the kitchen, informed her that she is not welcome here, and told her to get out. She told me she had a right to be their mother. She wanted to make things work, and the kids had a right to know that I was refusing to dismiss the divorce. I told her that, in that case, the kids had a right to know about Harry, and if I had to explain to them why I was the one refusing to stop the divorce, then it would include every detail of what she did. She flipped out, begging me not to ruin her to our children, telling me that if I did, she would bring up to the judge that I had violated the no disparagement order. I told her that she had already done that by lying to the kids about her coming back. She has called up my parents, my sister, mutual friends, anyone that will listen to her to tell them that she is trying to fix our marriage and I'm shutting her out. We're Catholic, so I am getting a ton of guilt from my family and hers for abandoning my marriage. Even when I shared the details, my mother replied, "Your wife is right there. She knows she made a mistake and wants to make it right. That's what you have to do. Love and forgive her. Your kids deserve to grow up with 2 parents." Honestly, it sounds selfish, but I have been so happy since she left. I recognize what she did to me was abusive, and the best thing I can do for myself is never give her that chance ever again. At the same time, I feel guilty because I know that she's not able to survive like this. She doesn't work. Her nearest family is 4 states away, and she's never lived on her own. I also know I'm letting my kids and family down by not letting her come back. Getting at least some of the money I paid her out back wouldn't suck either. I want to stay the course, but there's so much telling me that my actions are selfish and punitive rather than the right thing to do. If I do, how do I explain this to our kids without looking like a monster? I called my attorney and he's ready to ask for a restraining order for me and the kids, but I don't know if that's a malicious thing to do. I never thought the hardest part of this would be her trying to be nice to me and fix things. What do I need to do at this point? OP is not the bad guy. She is manipulative. OP needs to listen to his lawyer, minimize interaction, and tell his family this isn't a topic OP will discuss with them. If OP's family can't respect that, then OP knows their real loyalties, and he minimizes those interactions if necessary.